Welcome back, folks. Another week of What the F Happened. We've got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. We've got all of you on here. And, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about today. Did you hear there's a shortage of baby formula? Who knew? First it's paint, then it's toilet paper, now baby formula. And that sounds like a big problem. But that's not the only big problem out there. Gas prices are continually going up. We just hit a new high. Inflation, the good news is it's down. That's right. 8.5 is now down to 8.3. That's if you actually believe what they're telling you on the news. And then the other thing is, hey, do you all know, according to this administration, inflation is your fault. So they're going to raise your taxes. They're going to keep raising the cost of everything because inflation is all your fault. You bought too much shit. That's what we're going to cover in What the F Happened today. Stick with us. We will be right back in a second. All right, we are back for What the F Happened, a weekly show where we rant, we rave, and we review the markets of the prior week. And there is no shortage of news. Everything from the white papers, from economic reports that we get talking about the 10-year and the 30-year bonds, to inflation, to gas prices, to the markets. Holy cow, has it been a roller coaster ride? We just finished up doing our mastermind out in Daytona Beach, Florida, where we had over 200 people there. And the first day of the mastermind, the markets fell 1,100 points. And I think this is the first topic of what I'd really like to discuss. So, folks, whether you're on TikTok, and I want all of you to be part of this, I want you to kind of fill in. So, especially TikTok, listen to this. I'm just going to read something. And these are the factual numbers that really sound an alarming bell. Right here, after 2000, the NASDAQ had 16 bear market rallies that made more than 10%. Okay, 16 bear market rallies that made more than 10%, averaging a total of 22.7% before bottoming down 78%. So how many of you would have been okay investing in the NASDAQ, going through awesome 16 bear markets? You would think you're invincible, right? Kind of like today. You would think that these stocks are invincible to then, during the dot-com crash, they came crashing down 78%. How you like those apples now? Probably not good. Well, let's go back to 1929. The Dow Jones had 10 bear market rallies that made more than 10%. Okay, that averaged 22.8% before bottoming 89%. So what that's saying is prior or after 1929, the Dow Jones had 10 bear market rallies averaging 22.8, but then bottomed down 89%. Do you understand how this works? The market goes up and up and up, and it takes a long time, right? It's a slow growth. Look at this chart that I did. It's a slow growth, okay? And this is just from December up to December, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But if that's the numbers, and then every time it bottoms out because, hey, we end a cycle. Most of the cycles that you know in your life came from short-term debt cycles every 5 to 7 years. Now we're the longest that it's ever pushed, the longest bull market, and we are at the end of a long-term debt cycle. Let me repeat. We are at the end of a long-term debt cycle. The last time we saw the end of a long-term debt cycle was before any of you were born. And definitely most of the people that would have remembered the last long-term debt cycle ending are no longer with us, because that would have been 1934. So if we go from 1933, 1934, depending on where you're counting, up to where we're at today, you can see we are definitely past the end of a long-term debt cycle. Now, many people think this isn't going to end. Many people yesterday when the market was up, they're like, oh, whew, I'm glad that that wasn't real. I'm glad that all those days before, all those weeks before where we saw negative returns, I'm glad that finally we got an update. I got news. Futures are down quite a bit today, but yesterday made you hopeful, right? Made you think, oh, it's going to be okay. Folks, it isn't going to be okay. We're going to see some volatility. The markets probably will pop back up. The Fed and the U.S. government are going to put out news because who controls the news? Is it you? No. I'll just end it right there. They control the news and the narrative. So as we get closer to an election, they're going to start controlling what goes out. And are they going to want things to look really bad? Probably not. But are things really bad? Yeah, look at the reports. Earnings are coming out terrible for most companies. Has anyone been following this earning reports? Like all the earning reports? They're not good. Maybe they're posting strong earnings now, but their future outlooks aren't so good. Hell, the tech industry is not going on these crazy hiring sprees like they were. They're slowing down how much hiring they're doing. What does that signal? Signs everywhere, signs. That should signal to you that they see something coming. The tech, the NASDAQ, the FANG stocks see something coming. I mean, if you're Netflix, clearly you already saw it like a left hook to the freaking juggler. But hey, who's keeping track, right? Because I think Netflix is only down, 68% from its highs? Who cares? Apple was down 9% from its highs. All the tech companies are really suffering some losses right now. If you invested in the NASDAQ, you're not loving life right now. And it's funny, just last week, and folks, I really kind of want to get into this, but just this week and last week, I had a ton of people sending me snapshots of their statements because they went into their 401ks, they went into their IRAs, they went into their brokerage accounts, and they sent me their statements. Man, that stuff didn't look good. Even people on my team sent me their spouse's statements, and they were down 13, 14% year to date. It doesn't make you feel good. I had X, and now I've only got Y. What do I do? Well, let's just look at some of the questions that are coming in here on TikTok, and then I'm going to come over here to Facebook and YouTube. But TikTok said, "What's up, Chris? Florida was awesome. Loved the event. Netflix content has become unpleasing. The woke," you're right. "They're preparing for a great reset." I love this. Who is this? Often Mistaken. That's a cool name on TikTok, isn't it? Check out Often Mistaken. "They're preparing for the great reset in which we will own nothing and toil until we die." Well, so it's so funny, just a few short weeks ago, when we did What the F Happened, everybody was still bullish. When the markets were doing well, everybody was like, the markets aren't going down. Oh, but invest in the S&P 500. Where's all my S&P 500 investors now? They're burying their head in the sand because it's not looking so good. And it's probably not going to get better. It's going to get far worse, which I'll talk about in a second. So right here, Laurel, and I'm probably going to get it wrong here. Laurel Lee, I think is how it is. But what prediction do you have for the 2024 election? I have no clue. The 2024 election, I couldn't tell you, but I will tell you there's going to be an awful lot of shit going on in the world with wars, with the markets and everything right before that. I don't know. I can't tell you. I truly think we have seen the end of democracy as we know it because politicians have figured out how to beat the voting system. They have figured out how to buy your votes. Hey, we want to win this election. All we need to do is pay off all their student debts. Great. All those people will more than likely vote because we gave them something that they think is free, but it's not free. Just look at the inflation numbers. Inflation, just for the record, is a hidden tax. So you think that's free? No. How about gas prices? Are those free? Nope. Where are gas prices right now? Current average, 4.37 on regular. If you're putting regular gas in your car, you're paying 4.37 on average. Premiums, $5 on average. Diesel, 5.55. Actually, it's more here in New York. California, I don't even need to go there. But let's just go back in time here real quick. And folks, for you guys here that can see this, I'm going to read this, but I'm going to share my screen. I want you to see what I'm looking at. So right here on the screen, national average for gas. All right. So a year ago, just a short year ago, it seems like a flash that a year ago happened. The average gas price for regular gasoline was $2.96, which a year ago we were bitching that gas prices were higher. Premium was going to cost you $3.56 1 year ago, and it's now $5 for premium per gallon. Heck, a week ago it was only $4.86. You see the trend of where it's going? If you look at this, $3.50 to $4.80 to $4.86 to $4.97 to $5.01. That's gas right there. Kath just said in the Bay Area it's $6.13. Hell, man, that's a lot. All right. So you just really got to look at this is like that right there Some of that is inflation, hidden tax. Now, some of it's supply and demand. Some of it's the Russia-Ukraine war and everything else, because, we no longer are buying oil from Russia. They were a major supplier when they shut down the pipeline. And again, I'm not going to go there either, but you just have to look at when something's given to you, it's not free. When they offer to pay off your student loans, that shit isn't free. When they offer to give you stimulus checks, that stuff's not free either. When they give you PPP loans, EDIL loans, all these things that make us feel good because it makes us feel rich for the moment. It makes us feel like we got lots of money in the moment. But all those come at a very big cost, a much greater cost than the $1,200 or $1,500 stimulus check, a much bigger cost than the PPP loan that you got, 30 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. It comes at a cost of future taxes, not just to us, to our kids, and to our grandkids. Their taxes will be significantly higher. Folks, do all of you know that we're at the lowest tax bracket in history? When I do my presentations, I did one last night for a group of about 100 people. And when I do those presentations, I often ask them, are taxes going up or down? I used to get mixed views. Some people would say, they're probably going to stay the same. Some people would say they'd go down. Some people would say, I think they're going to go up. Now it's a resounding, yes, they're going up. And they are. They absolutely are. So we need to really take these things into consideration, and we need to understand where we're at. I always call it in my YouTube channel, which is at the Chris Noggle. Go subscribe and click the alerts because you're going to need the information. I'm putting a ton of content out right now on YouTube, all about what to do, the steps on how you can protect yourself from the storm. We've been saying this for years now, maybe even too long. Some people would say, you've been saying the same thing for years. Hey, at least I'm consistent and persistent. And I'm also consistent and persistent in how I invest money, which is why I don't give my wealth back. Just real quick, I want to check. Perry Lawson said Russia has already declared war on the U.S. That's correct, but has the U.S. declared war on Russia as well? So let's just see. I just want to get to where we're at. Strange part about CA Fuels, it all comes off the same rack in Bakersfield. Yeah, there's just taxes in California. The only person caught trying to steal an election is Trump. Well, Trump or Biden, we're not playing sides. Stop trying to live in a divided world because that's the world they want you to live in. We're all here for the same thing. We live in this country, this great country called the United States of America. Who said that about Trump here? Let's see. Whatever it was. I just want to point this out. We're now all of a sudden right here. So Deb Hale was saying, the only person caught trying to steal the election was Trump. We live in this great country because of freedom. Don't make it about a side. Don't make it about vaxxed, unvaxxed, Trump, Biden. Don't make it about black, white. Don't make it about what they want you to, the narrative that they're painting for you. Understand that freedom is fragile. Look at Ukraine. You see how fragile it is. Russia doesn't like that Ukraine's free and many other things, natural resources and everything else. But if we continue on this divide where we think this side or that side, red or blue or this or that, whatever your viewpoint is, doesn't matter. We want freedom. And we're going to have to fight for that because it's being stolen from us right now. So don't pick a side. Don't think that it's because of one side or the other. Both sides are fucking broken. Trump or Biden, they're both broken, okay? It's a broken system because we've learned how to beat democracy. We've learned how to buy votes. And history proves it. It's the end of an empire. Ray Dalio talks about it in his videos. It's the end of an empire. It's a sad reality. But we, not them, not politicians, we have to understand that it's on us. The cavalry's not coming this time, folks. So your money, your wealth, your riches, the money in your bank, the money in your 401k, the money in your IRA is what we're talking about. We're not talking politics. You want all your money and your financial freedom to go away? Good. Bury your head in the sand. Keep making it about a side. Keep making it about a color. Keep making it about vaxxed, unvaxxed. Keep picking a side and dividing, and you will see that your freedom, your financial freedom will disappear. I'm not willing to accept that. Just not. I live in this country, lost a lot of my friends to wars. The Iraq war, lost tons of my friends. They didn't come home. That's the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. The ultimate. So stop making it about a side. There's no place on this live, What the F Happened, to pick sides. It's about freedom. It's about your freedom. It's about the freedom of your finances. And that's the only thing I really feel like talking about. All right. So let's see. One other thing too. I got a couple questions that came in here that I want to address. And Steve, so my partner in crime is sick. So we just did a mastermind in Daytona. He came home sick. I don't know if maybe, he picked something up on the plane or whatever it was, but it is what it is. So let's see, just $6. I had a really good question right here. All right. So Mike said, what should someone do with their rollover IRA in today's market? So let me just spend a second real quick. So TikTok, Instagram, and everybody here, I just want you to look at this. I drew this out this morning. Okay. I drew this out. It was based on an economic report that I just got. And it just shows the market, where it is and everything else. And essentially what we're looking at here is we're looking at the NASDAQ. Okay. So I'm just showing you, like, these are the downfalls and the upfalls. This is the COVID, hopefully you guys bought. So like the idea of how this works is here, you should have been buying this cycle. You're never going to get out at the top and you're never going to get in at the bottom. But if you were just buying on the way down, like how about Bitcoin? How many of you right now, and give me a show of hands by saying I invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or some crypto? Give me an I. I know TikTok should have a lot of them. How about Instagram? How many of you are investing in crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of that? So I got some love coming in from Instagram. Let's see, we got anything over here? And they're still playing this political game. It's not about the politics are important, but just focus on you right now. The politicians aren't going to save you. They're not going to help you. Neither side. Just get away from that. All right. So we got a bunch of you saying yes. Okay. Some people saying not yet. All right. So I've been buying Bitcoin and Ethereum as it's been going down. Today, this morning, 29,228. I bought another $3,000. And I've been buying $3,000 on the way down. Do you know why? Because I buy low. I didn't say I buy the lowest. I simply buy low. So to Mike's question, what should I do with my rollover IRA? So here's the cycles. Now let's just focus on over here, right? There's 3 key numbers. These are different signs. Right here, this is very recent. So this was December, and let me just try to get you a little closer. We're going to go right up to June, but this is about March. Okay, so this would be about March. This would be April, and here's June. Okay, just so you all know where we're at. 1, 2, 3. These mark different levels and different testings. And if you're a chartist or you really follow the market, you understand it. So if you've got money in the market, are you at the low point? Like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to sell now. Like I'll lose money. Let me define that. If you sell now, unless you bought here, unless you were buying in this point here, right? Here to here. If you were buying there because it felt good, because you wanted to buy, if you bought Bitcoin at 60 or 65, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know what else to tell you. You obviously don't listen to me, and you don't listen to any of the economists or the big money. You just blindly follow the sheep off the cliff. Because by buying at the high point here you bought into, this is called FOMO. Okay, so you bought into FOMO. That's all. Like, hey, if you did, no big deal. Learn from it. No big deal. Hey, you made a mistake. It's going to cost you some money. So for any of you that bought here, you're definitely at a loss. But for everybody else, and I hear this a lot, I don't want to make changes right now. I'll lose money. When are you going to make changes? You're going to wait? You're going to wait till it goes down here, and then you're going to make a change here? Because I bet you will. When you're down 30%, 40%, 50%, oh, don't think it's going that low? Promise you it's going that low. I promise you see a 50% pullback in the market on the first leg. Watch and learn. It's not me telling you this. It's just this is what happens, folks. Like, this is what happens. Everybody in Wall Street knows this. Everybody that's been through a great recession or any recessionary period, you know the first leg's the worst. You will touch a 50% drop. So if you're scared to get out right now at the highest point, because listen, like, I know this is the NASDAQ, but if we did the S&P, it's going to look very similar. Like if we're right here, how you looking? Is that pretty close to the high? The high was 16, and let's just say here you're at 13. You're off 3,000 points. Is that a bad place to exit? Maybe not where I would exit, but I think we'll see one more bounce. Maybe we don't, because we're at a very critical point right now. So here's what I would do. I would really look at my portfolio of investments. Okay. And Mike, I'm specifically talking to you. I'd look at my portfolio of investments and I'd say, which ones do I have a gain in right now? Which ones am I looking pretty at? Which ones did I not buy during FOMO that I have a gain in? And I'd start repositioning them. And you all know, like, I'm a huge advocate of treasury bonds. Or if you guys all get on the auction, you can buy the I bonds, which are paying 9.62% on treasurydirect.gov. But treasury bonds, you can buy ETFs. I buy 2 different ETFs. And all of you have access to that. You can do that, reposition, and you can go from risky assets, take the gains off the table, position into safe assets that will see the next increase. I'm not going to go into that. So, but the other thing too is maybe now is just a good time to look at completely non-correlated assets that are not being pulled down by the market. So what are the things that I call assets? Nope, my loans. So I moved all my money, Mike, from regular IRAs and regular 401ks to self-directed IRAs. It's still, if you have a traditional IRA or you have a 401k and you want to roll it over, you'd roll it over to a rollover traditional IRA. And all you're changing is the custodian, the person that holds the money. If you do that, you are in control and you can do so many things with your money. I lend through Private Money Club. If any of you want to see it, just go to, I can't really invert my screen because I don't have anybody here to hold that. So sorry, TikTok. I know you're looking at it backwards, but you can kind of get the gist of what's going on. So bear with it. I do loans. And you know why? I study banks and I study how banks make money. And you know what they do? You and me and everybody else deposits our money in the bank. They pay us interest. It's called 1%. What do? They loan that money out. They move that money. They make your money and my money work for them, and they make a spread. If they do a loan for 4% and they pay us 1%, what's their spread? 3%. So I do the same thing. And also what I like about loans is I'm in control. When I lend money on a piece of real estate, okay, let's just say I'm just going to pick on Bob here. Bob Catmerson. I might have got that wrong. Let's say Bob needs some money on TikTok, and I lend Bob $50,000 at 12%. Okay. I will make sure that before Bob ever gets my money, I have a security instrument in place called a mortgage, deed of trust, mortgage, that makes sure that if Bob stops paying me or something happens to Bob, I'm in first position and I get paid. So Mike, that's what I do. Completely non-correlated. If the market completely tanks out, I still have control of that asset. And you know, Rockefeller said, own nothing, control everything. That's what banks do. That's what I do. I do private loans. I also buy U.S. Treasury bonds. I will buy the I bonds and the auctions. I invest in private companies. I invest in myself heavily. I invest in marketing of my companies. So what should you do in your rollover IRA in today's market? Look for non-correlated assets. And most importantly, folks, hear me out. This is the third law of wealth. The smartest thing you can do is invest in things that you know, like, and understand. Get out of things that you don't know, don't like, and don't understand. I never understood why people would invest in an industry that they know nothing about. I never understood why people would invest in things they don't like. Hey, listen, if you don't like alcohol and alcohol companies or cigarette companies, why would you invest in Philip Morris and Anheuser-Busch? If you don't like them, don't invest in them. Find companies that you know, like, and understand and invest in them. Become an expert. Warren Buffett becomes an expert in every company he invests in. Why don't you? Oh, because the Uber driver told me it's going to the moon. Yeah. So let's see. Just one of them said, yeah, own nothing. Literally, you lost a shit ton of money. Yeah, own nothing. Literally, you lost. That makes no bloody sense, my friend. Dude showing you he had no idea what he's talking about, yet still talking. Oh, okay. So we got a hater on here. I love it. Hey, hater, I got some news for you on TikTok because he just keeps going. We have lots of haters that come on here that think they know what they don't know. I got a hug for you, buddy. And I got a hat for you, too. It says, haters need hugs, too. So there you go. I love it. Like, he doesn't even know what he's talking about, but yet he's still talking. Whatever. Okay, let's move on. All right, so I got another thing I want to talk about here, and this is actually kind of funny. I'm going to play a little video, and this is for the bullish markets. Must be, what's his name? Podgers and Noggers. Yeah, that's a good name, dude. Podgers and Noggers. That's his name on TikTok. All right, so this is pretty funny. Hopefully you guys can see this and hear this, but the title of this video for TikTok and Instagram, if you can't see it, the title of the video is Bullish Investors in 2022. And the video has two dancers, like scantily dressed women dancing out on the street, and a little boy runs through. And the one girl bumps him with her butt, the other girl knees him with her knee. That's right. That's kind of funny. So all right. Anyway, pause that one. Get on with that. The thing is that bullish investors that think it's going to keep going up, they're going to get beat up. Okay. Whether it's, getting a butt to the face and a knee to the face, whatever, you're going to get beat up. The markets are going to be very volatile, and only the ones that understand how to play it. Any option traders, any of you option traders out there? Any of you guys option traders? We got any option traders on here? Because option traders right now can make a lot of money because there's a lot of volatility, and options love volatility. So if you're an options trader, you're probably doing well, but don't take any long trades. Don't go long on anything. If you're shorting the market, short intraday. If you're going, taking a call or any bullish position, intraday. Trade within the day. Don't hold overnight. Things are crazy. One day it's up 200, the next day it's down 200. You don't want to play that game overnight. You'll lose. It's very fast moving right now, and it will continue to be fast moving and extremely, extremely volatile. One other thing too that's interesting is I want to talk a little bit about last week. So if all of you know, the Fed came out and they raised interest rates 50 basis points, 0.5%. It was anticipated. That's what they said they were going to do. The first interest rate raise, there's going to be 7 of them this year. The first one was 25 basis points. And then the last one, which was just last week, was 50 basis points. Exactly what Wall Street predicted, exactly what the Fed told the market they were going to do, a 50 basis point increase. And they also just confirmed they're going to start unwinding the balance sheet starting in June to the tune of about $95 billion. And I think they actually said that their first unwinding is going to be about, if I'm not mistaken, 47 or 48 billion. So that would be positive news, right? Markets hate surprises. They don't like surprises. The market likes predictability because they already built that in. They already built the fact that the Fed was going to raise rates 50 basis points, and they already knew that the Fed was going to start unwinding the balance sheet up to $95 billion. Now, that doesn't matter whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. It was built in. So that day came. I remember watching it. Oh yeah, they 50 basis point increase. Me and Steven are sitting there, and I think we were actually having a beer, and we're like, yeah, it's exactly what the market did. And in the What the F Happened last week, we even said if the Fed does exactly what that Wall Street wants, the markets will probably pop. So what happened? The day that they announced that, the markets popped. Woo! Crack a beer, have fun. The markets went up. But the next day surprised me. I'm not going to lie. The next day, the market dropped 1,100 points. I don't know if that was just the hangover wearing off or what, but that wasn't something that I would predict. And any of you that study this stuff, that study economics and study reactions in markets, after news like that, that was a bit odd. It was a bit odd because the market got what it wanted. Like a crying baby, when you give the crying baby what it wants, it stops crying. So Wall Street stopped crying, the market rallied, but the very next day, something happened that let loose 1,100 points. And I still don't have an answer for you. If any of you have an answer, great, I'd love to hear it. But here's what I take. I take that the markets are incredibly fragile. And I take it that even after the markets got exactly what they want, they realized that they're in deep shit. And they continued to sell off every day thereafter. We had one positive day, which was yesterday, and today looks like it's going to be a negative day as well. So again, signs everywhere, signs. You really have to pay attention. And you don't want to play with this thing. So Mike, hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't, but you hug the hell out of him. I'm going to hug him, then I'm going to punch him in the face. That's just how we do things here in New York. Right in front of him. We'll give you a big hug, then we're going to punch you. In California, they hug you, and then you leave. And as you're leaving, they stab you in the back. That's my observation. Let's see. Just cashed out of my IRA. So this is interesting. Trevor said, I just cashed out of my IRA. I'm going to open another IBC policy. Great idea. If it fits your needs and goals, that might not be a bad thing. Rip the Band-Aid off, say, piss it, I'm done with it. I made money in the markets. I'm going to play a different game now. That's the game I play. I have zero money in the markets outside of 2 ETFs, which are both treasury bonds, 0 coupon bonds and just general 20 plus year treasury bonds. So good stuff. So Ocean 888 on YouTube said he used to trade options with gold mining contracts. Well, Ocean, if you know how to trade options, the best time that option traders make the most amount of money is in periods of volatility. You're seeing a lot of volatility. You got to be super smart. So if you're going to trade options into this, learn, get a good mentor, or just make sure that you're in and out in short periods of time. Do not get greedy in this market. When others are greedy, be fearful. When others are fearful, be greedy. Play it smart. The markets are an emotional roller coaster. You're absolutely correct. A huge emotional roller coaster. So let me talk about one other thing here real quick, and I'll just pull the screen over. Bitcoin, let's just say 68, was the high where we knew, whatever. And then it fell back down. We had a low of 28. We all remember that. This is BTC that we're talking about, because a lot of people, and just so everybody knows, and I want to make sure everybody knows, especially, my hater here on TikTok, do you guys all see or know that crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of them are directly correlated to the markets? In other words, if this is crypto, guess where the markets probably were? It's almost exact, right? The markets or Bitcoin, I haven't yet figured out who's following who, but they're trending one with the other. Literally, I know that if the markets are down in futures, I know that Bitcoin's going to be down. And this morning was no surprise. Bitcoin, went from 31 last night. I remember before I went to bed, I looked at it. Bitcoin was about 31 and change. And this morning it's 29,228 when I looked at it, and I bought another $3,000. So Bitcoin has been on this crazy roller coaster ride, but for a while it was trading in a range from about 46 down to, we'll say 38. This was the range it was trading. Okay. So in that range, there was a lot of money that could be made if you weren't greedy. All you had to do was wait for it to go down to around 30 or somewhere in there, and sell it when it got around. I was exiting at about 44. You can make a bunch of money. Yeah, great. Maybe you got the 28 and you sold it at 44 like I did, but that's circumstantial. And now here we are. We're at 29 again. So if it's at 29, it's at 29 because the stock market's selling off. But I'll tell you, the stock market will probably bounce back up. We are at a weird critical level right now where it really, I guess, could continue to fall. But my guess is it's going to bounce one, maybe two more times through August. And then after that, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of really, really deep falling. But again, I can't time the market. I'm just telling you my speculations of where I think and how I'm trading this. So I've been buying Bitcoin, but here's the thing. I'm getting this range, I'm shrinking it. As we start seeing weakness in the overall markets, I see weakness in the crypto markets. So therefore, where I used to trade 38 to 46, this range, give or take a buck or two, I might now trade a lower range. I might take my 29 position and I might look for an exit around 40. And then when I start doing that, that range might get tighter and tighter. As markets show weakness, they start getting more compressed, and money to make is really in shorter and smaller little ranges. You'll see this. You'll see it's, you've seen like I can't even think of what it's called, but where the markets kind of converge, that just tightens the range. The range was bigger before, and it's just going to get smaller and smaller. So a lot of money you can make there, but you got to be on top of it. Don't get greedy is the best thing I would tell you. Do not get greedy. That's the biggest mistake that you guys will all make is greed. Because if you get greedy, your money's going to flee you. It's the fourth law of wealth. Fourth law of wealth says if you seek unrealistic returns, your money will flee you. All right, so what else do we got? Well, we got inflation right here in the news. Yahoo Finance. Inflation decelerates slightly from 40-year high as CPI rises 8.3 in April. So if you remember, prior to this, we were at 8.5. Now we're at 8.3. Are we moving in the right direction? Yeah. Is it going down fast? No. And it probably will not. But that's two interest rate increases and news that they're going to start unwinding the balance sheet. And a while ago, if you didn't pay attention, they stopped buying new bonds, which I think, I can't remember the dollar amount, but I think they were buying $40 billion a month, or maybe it was more. It's old news now, old news. So with that stuff being said, let's see. With that being said, that would signal that maybe the Fed's actions are working. Maybe it is helping curb the inflationary pressures that we're seeing. But I don't think so. I think this is a false alarm. I really do. It's like that, if you ever stay in a hotel or in college, right? The alarms would go off. You're like, oh my God, fire, fire. Everybody rushes outside. Oh, false alarm. Everybody goes back inside. Carry on. Have anyone been there? I've had that happen out west in snowboard contests where fire alarm goes off at like 1 a.m. You're in your long underwear or your underwear, or hell, some of you, if you're having a really good night, are in nothing. And the fire alarm goes off and you rush outside thinking, oh, it's just going to be temporary. And then you're sitting out there for an hour. Been there, done that. But I actually did have some clothes on. So when you look at the inflation, it's a really important thing to see where it's going. But again, don't get excited yet. Don't start thinking this is working just because of this news. And then the other thing that I thought was absolutely hilarious, I'll play this one for you guys because I don't know. Not to get into this, but I mean, you just got to listen to it. So here we go.
Your cost. They want to solve it by raising your taxes and lowering your income. I happen to think it's a good thing when American families have a little more money in their pockets at the end of the month. But the Republicans in Congress don't seem to think so. Their plan is actually make working families poor. They don't want to solve inflation by lowering your costs. They want to solve it by raising.
So the only reason I play that is it's the blame game. That's politics these days, the blame game. This side blames that side blames this side. It's like, listen, it's a problem we're all facing. Why don't we stop blaming and start dealing with it? Anyone ever had that friend that all they do is blame everybody else, but they fix absolutely nothing? No disrespect, but Biden, dude, just fix the problem. Stop blaming the problem. Stop trying to play politics and start playing president and just let's get a hold of the problems we have in this country. Let's get a hold of some of these things and really fix them. But it's not. It's just blame. And it makes me sick. It's just, why can't we just get back to a time when we all came together to solve a common problem that suits us all, that fixes us all, that protects us all? Blaming gets nobody anywhere. Nobody. It just creates more hate. And you know where that lands? Follow the Civil War. That's where it lands. Keep hating, keep picking sides, keep dividing. It ends in a civil war. Or who knows? Who knows where it's going to end this time? So are you thinking of capitulation? A lot of people have been asking me that. I would say probably. I am, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because I don't really have a solid opinion on that. But very well could be that. Sometimes people ask things and I'm just like, well, I don't know. I kind of have an opinion, but sometimes I just don't want to say what my thoughts are on that. Mike, the company name that I use for my self-directed IRA is Horizon Trust. We could send you over their number. So Mike, if you want, I can actually shoot you a message. You could just email here. I'll just give you Shauna's email, shauna@chrisnoggle.com. She can send you over the info. That will get you whatever you need for self-directed IRAs. I mean, I've been using them for mine and my wife's for quite some time, actually since 2014, to be honest. That's how long we've been using Horizon Trust. I've seen the company go from awesome to not awesome to getting a lot better. COVID was really tough on custodians because they lost a lot of their staff and they had to retrain, but their service has come way back. So it's all about service with a self-directed IRA custodian, and Horizon Trust has definitely made leaps and bounds from a year ago with their service. A year ago, I would have said, well, shop it around, but that's a really good one. Let's see, what else do we got here? So we got Charles over here on Instagram. What's up, buddy? I'm just trying to see what you guys have. I got some more stuff to go over, but just seeing if we got any questions that I'm missing. Hey, what's up, Gray Wolf? Greed equals failure. I love that. That's our Instagram. And then we got some TikTok stuff coming in. Let's see. The government makes money off of our problems. Well, yeah, that's true. But you know what? You can make money off of other people's problems by solving them too. The problem with the government making money off of our problems is they're not solving our problems. They just create more problems because they make money off of creating more problems. The goal is you want to become extremely wealthy, Edward. I think that's what it is. Edward SEG, solve other people's problems. You want to get incredibly wealthy. You want to really, really see the level of wealth. That's what you got to focus on. Focus on solving other people's problems. And if you do that, your problems will eventually be solved. But if you try to solve your problems first, like politicians do, try to solve their problem first, nobody else's problems get solved. And, well, time will tell. Usually that affects governments, and usually that affects empires, and usually that is, and that's probably why Ray Dalio, and there's a lot more to it, why Ray Dalio did that new video showing the end of an empire. And he showed kind of where we're at. And, if you follow that video and you really look at Ray Dalio, and what he's doing is he's showing you kind of the U.S., the empire, and then China, and he's showing this is where we're at. This is the USA, and this is China. So eventually, do we have something like this happen where China becomes the leading power, the empire, the leading empire, whatever you want to call it. And then how about the US dollar? Right now the US dollar is by far the strongest currency. people in Japan's a pretty big economy. People in Japan that own like Japan debt or Japanese debt, which would be the equivalent of a treasury, their treasuries pay, I don't know if it went negative yet, but they're close to zero. So if you were somebody that had money in Japan, would you want the Japanese treasuries that pay you zero, or would you want the 10-year US treasury that's 3? The US dollar is still the almighty dollar. It is still the most traded and used currency of them all, which is why it is the reserve currency. So it is 100% the reserve currency and probably will be for the near future. But I think, you got lots of other currencies that will challenge this. The war in Russia and Ukraine is definitely showing some weakness to globalization and weakness to the US dollar, because now China and Russia and India are now embarking on using other currencies to trade oil. Oil has almost predominantly been traded in the US dollar. The US dollar is what oil is valued at, okay? Crude. So if that changes, well, then that's going to be really freaking bad for the US, which could drive this. But you know what else is going to drive this? The people on here that want a divided country, the people on here that want to pick a side and only have that side, the people on here that don't want to have an open mind and understand that we live in this fucking country because of freedom. We live here because we can pick a side. We live here because we can have our own religious beliefs. We live here for freedom of speech, which is, well, thank you, Elon Musk, because he's really doing a good job of trying to protect that, we hope. But freedom of speech is also, it's on the chopping block. So all the things that we take for granted that are in the Constitution seem to be on the chopping block, do they not? Just asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend. All right, pull up one more thing here. All right. So what else do we got? We got some other questions coming in here. Concepts, paradigms. Daryl, explain what you're asking there. Concepts, paradigms. What do we got with that question? Waiting for his answer to come in. I played a little bit of music. Let me ask this question, because I'm, without my partner in crime here, I don't have somebody else to bounce off. So I'm bouncing things off of all of you. Somebody asked me what capitulate means, so I just put it in there. But some of you, what do you think's happening in the Russia-Ukraine war? Do you think the U.S. is going to eventually land in that? I want your opinions. Do you think the U.S. might eventually land in a war as part of this? You think that could turn into another world war? What does everybody think about that? Especially TikTok over here. Do you guys think we're going to see another world war? Or do you think this Russia-Ukraine thing will just remain a Russia-Ukraine war? I mean, a lot of people have mixed views on this. A lot of people don't really know what to say about this. So cease and resist. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's just posting on there. We got a different logo. And also, folks, one other thing I want to be clear about as we're kind of getting to the end of today. One of the things we started a new YouTube channel where this will be streaming. So if you're on here from YouTube, we're going to be streaming the What the F Happened from the new Money School TV YouTube channel. So right now we're streaming on the Chris Noggle channel, but eventually it's going to be streaming on Money School TV. So make sure you go on, subscribe, and click the alerts button on Money School TV, because that's the new platform where we're going to do this. We're trying to take the Chris Noggle YouTube channel and refine it and make it just all about really cool edited videos and great content relevant to what you all are asking for. But Money School TV will be where all the lives will be. So nobody's really commenting on this Russia-Ukraine thing. Either it's a sore subject and people don't want to talk about it, or people just don't really know what to think about it. But what's everybody think about the final topic here, baby formula? Did you all realize that there is a major shortage of baby formula, which to me signifies that's a problem? I mean, hey, toilet paper, all right, go out, grab a couple leaves off the tree, you know how to play that game. But what do you do when we run out of baby formula? What happens if you have children, babies, that need baby formula and you can't get it? I mean, hell, there's obviously been a run of Fancy Feast. I have cats, and we got Mr. Cash here on the desk here sleeping. But, for some reason, cats just love Fancy Feast. There's been a run on Fancy Feast. I went to 3 pet stores. None of them had Fancy Feast. Go figure, right? Well, the same thing's happening for babies. Mothers and parents are having a hard time finding baby formula. Did anyone else see that? Did anyone else really see that there's a run on baby formula these days? Like, where does it end? Is there really that big of a supply demand, or is it just that productivity in the workforce has literally fallen to all-time lows? Oh, sorry, it has. Productivity in the workforce is at an all-time low. And I'm sure that's leading to some of these shortages, but baby formula, for crying out loud, like how and why would there be a shortage of baby formula? It seems like one of those things where, like, no matter what, we'd make sure that the babies in this country can have their formula and eat. It's just nuts. That one took me by surprise. I'm just like, where does this thing end? The out of stock rate for baby formula hovered between 2 and 8% in the first half of 2021, but began rising sharply last July. Between November 21st and early April 22nd, the out of stock rate jumped to 31%. Hell, that might even be higher than Fancy Feast. I don't even know. The rate increased another 9 percentage points in just 3 weeks in April and now stands at 40%. So the statistics show in 6 states, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Missouri, Texas, and Tennessee, more than half of the baby formula was completely sold out during the week started April 24th. They don't say. 40 to 50% of the baby formula products are out of stock. How does that affect the markets? It doesn't, but it just shows, man, we got some problems, folks. We got some problems. Yeah, that's it. How about breastfeeding? My wife is still breastfeeding, but a lot of mothers can't breastfeed, Mike. That's a great thing. It's free. It's actually much better for your children, but unfortunately, some women can't. Some women just can't, or some women dry up, or, I've learned all this because I have a wife that's breastfeeding, but what happens if you can't? What are you going to do? You can't just be like, come on, work today. Sometimes, it just doesn't work. And then baby formula is really the only alternative. So it is a interesting thing. Let's see, boarding and then reselling. Yeah, that Lynn said, this is kind of interesting. Lynn said that then mean people will start hoarding and reselling for a profit. So damn well that's going to happen. There was a shortage on toilet paper. What happened? People hoarded toilet paper and started selling it at a higher price on secondary and tertiary markets. Same thing will probably happen with baby formula, escalating the problem in the shortages, which is probably why you're seeing 40 to 50% shortages on baby formula. I mean, hell, if that stuff happens for cat food, like, man, I don't know. Game over. Like, seriously, game over. No, it's all right, Lynn. No worries. So we kind of lost most of the followers here on TikTok. Guess they didn't want to hear that one guy be a dick, but the connection keeps buffering. Oh, that's why. I see. Derek, thank you for telling me that. I was wondering, normally we're holding like a couple hundred people on TikTok, but for some reason we're having internet problems. I have had nothing but technology problems. So maybe all of these shortages in workforce and shortages in productivity are hitting the tech world, and that's why we're having so many tech problems. Who knows? Daryl said, worth the effort to breastfeed. Yeah, if you can. That's very true. So with all this being said, folks, I'm going to segue into this afternoon. This afternoon, we're doing a training, and the training is going to be a really, really good one. I'm going to show a couple different things. It's going to be heavily focused on the infinite banking concept, but we're going to show you how you can get paid to drive cars. I'm going to show you a lot of people right now, unlike during the pandemic where people's debts were falling, people's debts have skyrocketed since the pandemic. I guess it must just be everybody, got outside and decided they wanted to just spend money. So people that had no debt now have lots of debt. And we're going to be covering that at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to show you a very, very easy way to erase debt, to get rid of debt by using a simple strategy, by changing just one thing. And we'll show you literally, even if you don't use the infinite banking concept, I want to show you the best way to figure out where all your money is going. On all these lives that we do, I often have people say, hey, I'd love to do that, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. My next question is always, well, where's all your money going? Oh, I've got credit cards. I've got lines of credit. I got car payments. All right, great. It's not game over for you, buddy. Just because you're living paycheck to paycheck, there's a solution to this. It's going to take some time, but the last time I checked, building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm going to talk to you about that this afternoon, and then I'm going to show you something really cool that we did for the first time at the Mastermind out in Daytona Beach, and that's going to be fun because it's cars. cars and more cars. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. So, folks, join us this afternoon at 1 p.m. And let's see, now we got another hater. Boring. Where you been the whole time, buddy? We were talking about some cool shit, and you just keep typing boring. You know what's boring? Listening to your dumbass be bored. Get a fucking job, asshole. With that being said, thank you, everybody, for joining us for another week of What the F Happened. This guy can now stop being bored and go back to being bored while we go out and be productive, crush things, and solve people's problems. We will see you this afternoon at 1 p.m. Have a good day.